Hi, the book I'm going to read today is called The Relatives Came by Cynthia Rylant and illustrated by Stephen Gamble. And I love this book because it makes me think of summer. Here you can see all the suitcases. Looks like somebody's getting ready for a trip. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. Looks like they're leaving in the middle of the night, doesn't it? I wonder if they'll get all those suitcases in the car. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put a nice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches, and up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. Oh, looks like they're losing one of their suitcases. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Uh-oh, looks like they knocked down the fence, doesn't it? And lost some of their luggage off the car, but at least they've arrived where they're supposed to be. And some of the children are coming out to meet them. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. They're so glad to see each other, aren't they? Then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper 2 or 3 times around, until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. My goodness, so much going on in this picture. Okay. Looks like the dog has his own dinner there, but he'd rather eat the people food. Oh, look at that little baby. Looks like he's going to fall over on that stool. Look at all the food, some of it being dropped. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. Oh my goodness, look at them all trying to sleep. Looks like that little girl there is having a little trouble sleeping. And look at the dog. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. Someone's getting the wheel fixed on the truck. Someone's getting a haircut. Oh, so much going on here. They ate up all our strawberries and melons. They promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. Well, there it looks like they're fixing that fence that got broken when they first arrived. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Oh, someone's trying to get a picture. It must be hard to get a picture with so many people. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. Oh, there they go again. Looks like they're losing another suitcase this time. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer. Oh, there they are home again. And that's the end. There are their grapes. Looks like they're ready for picking. Almost. I hope you like the book. And it makes me think of summer. I hope it makes you think of summer too, that's coming soon.